Hello, hello, and welcome back to The Picture Show. We are your hosts, Bryn and Noah, and today we are back to talk about two more fantastic films from 2024, both about two queens working together to maximize their joint slay. That, of course, would be The Substance as well as Wicked. Couldn't get through the end of 2024 without talking about both of these phenomenal movies.
Two films that really kind of took a hold at the box office and like made a big splash in the culture. I'm especially surprised at The Substance taking off the way it has with people because it's a wild movie. I feel like Wicked was a little more of a slam dunk. The Substance is something really new.
Yes, Wicked was a little bit more to be expected as far as audience reaction goes. The Substance, you have to see it in order to really fully grasp.
You gotta feel, it's very experiential.
It is. I think that's the best descriptor for that movie, is experiential. So The Substance, just to kind of hop right into it, is a body horror movie about this fitness reality star who is maybe past her prime. She's been doing these shows for a while, played by the incredible Demi Moore.
We'll talk about Demi Moore. We'll talk
always.
about Demi.
And she catches wind that she is going to be replaced with a younger model. She's basically had her run and they're training her in for something new. She's having a really hard time coping with this, of course. She sent something in the mail that is promoting a drug, we'll call it, called The Substance. And it is to help her relive her youth in one way or another.
It promises to give you a more perfect version of yourself. Younger, more beautiful. You know, it's very intoxicating.
So, she is kind of grappling with whether or not to try it out. And she ends up going for it because she's sick and tired of feeling like she is being put out to pasture. And so she injects this substance and out of her spine tears this newer, younger version of herself. And I feel like we should just take it from there. Noah, what were your immediate thoughts watching just the beginning of this?
It has to be said, this is maybe the funniest movie I've watched all year. It is body horror, but it also, I feel like, knows exactly what it's doing. It's so over the top, and it is just, it's going for it. It knows it doesn't have to be realistic because it has, you know, entire humans popping out of other human spines. But just the way they're able to achieve all the insane effects in this is just a joy to watch. And this film is truly just like a sort of like jaw on the floor, what the F fest. It's really, really fun. Yeah, and I think we talked a little bit earlier about Demi Moore. This is her best work as an actress. You know, as Elizabeth Sparkle, this over-the-hill aerobics instructor, she is so angry and vindictive, and she makes some mistakes along the way, and the desperation that we get out of her is unbelievable. She's doing things that she's never done before in a film. It's really just one of the great comeback roles of recent years. She owns the movie.
At no point did I know what to expect. And every time you think it can't get worse, it absolutely does. Even once you get towards the end and you think you've hit the breaking point, like this, there is no way that this can get more deformed and also even more awful. Oh, it does. Oh, it does. And it is so much fun to watch this descent into madness. So it should be said too that like this younger version of her that comes out is not actually her. Like it is her, but it's not her. You know, it's stated several times that you are one and the same. Like you are still the same person. It is not you versus them.
It's like reproduction by budding, you know?
Yes. Yeah. So
like a sponge.
This individual still has their own mind and their own consciousness, which leads to trouble later on, because basically you have to take like spinal fluid from the original person and inject it into the new version. You're supposed to swap every 7 days, otherwise consequences. And consequences do be happening because the younger version starts getting a little bit more greedy with her time. And as she starts to rise to fame, she says, oh, you know what, just one more day, just one more week, just one more month. And she ends up pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. At some point, she is forced to swap back to Elizabeth Sparkle. And the monster that wakes up.
That used to be the lovely Demi Moore. Have you ever seen The Witches by Roald Dahl? Like, or yeah, have you ever seen The Witches? Or like, I don't know, she looks like something out of The Dark Crystal. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
It is. And like I said, like every time you think it can't get worse, it does. And so, then she swaps back to her younger self because her body is in so much pain. She is so miserable as her. She just wants to go back to being youthful and everything to work. And so then, more time goes on and eventually she has to swap back and it gets even worse. And then it gets to a point where things start falling apart on the younger model.
Yeah, literally, things start falling apart.
Literally, like, falling off. Hilarious.
Also
Horrendous.
gut-wrenching. Yeah, ugh.
Horrendous. I never thought something could be so funny and so jarring at the same time, but it was a riot.
Yeah, the tonal line, the tonal high wire that this movie is walking is crazy because like it's utterly sickening, but at the same time it's so funny. The satire and the humor, it's incredibly on the nose. This movie is not going for subtlety. This movie is going like it's trying to take its concept as far as it can logically go. It is really pushing this central idea just as far as and extremely as they can go, I guess. It's so fun.
Nothing is out of bounds in this movie. Nothing is too far stretched.
Nothing's off limits.
At one point, she randomly becomes a master carpenter out of nowhere.
Okay, yeah. Let's just get fully into spoilers, because there's some funny ass shit in this movie.
The thing is,
who taught her to build a room? She builds a room.
You can't even, yes, it's spoilers, like, sure, you know what to expect, but until you visually experience it with your own eyeballs, you're not gonna actually understand what's going on. So we can tell you...
It's streaming on Mubi. Everyone go get a free week or month of Mubi. It's a fantastic streaming service. Anyways.
No amount of spoilers will actually prepare you for...
What a ride.
Whatever this fever dream is. It's insane. Yeah. She becomes a master carpenter. At one point, when she is her decrepit old lady self, she goes from breaking her legs and like not being able to walk down the hall to full on dragging a human body.
That's like my favorite part. That's my favorite part. She's so rickety.
But then she's like superhuman strength. She just fucking yanks this body along with her.
She looks like a wide receiver or something. It's insane.
You want to talk about turtle people? That's a turtle.
No kidding. Yeah. Ugh. It's an unbelievable ride. And it's not taking itself too seriously. You just kind of have to strap in and let the movie go where it's gonna go. Yeah, I thought this was one of the most creative and fun movies of the year. And I haven't stopped thinking about it since I saw it back in October.
It does just kind of stick with you, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's Demi Moore's best role as an actress. I think it's Margaret Qualley's best work as an actress so far. Yeah, I think this is a hit. And people really showed out for this movie. I think there is a hunger out there for something truly bold and original. And, this year, this film really caught on for a reason. And I think if you haven't seen it, you absolutely have to see what everyone's talking about. I don't want to spoil the third act of this. And I was talking about pushing a concept to its natural limit. But this movie goes somewhere that I don't think any other film would be brave enough to go. I don't know who would think of it.
I don't either. And it goes on for way longer than you think it would.
It's so funny though. It's so funny.
Normally when I say a movie ends too many times, I mean that in a bad way. Every time this movie ended and then didn't, I was like, "Oh my god, there's more.
Yeah.
There's more." Like it was so fun. I was like, "We get another ending. It's going to
Yeah.
do something else."
It really puts you through the ringer. It
It
does
does.
have a little mini, like too many endings, but I
But in
like
a
every
fun
ending.
way.
Yeah. Yeah, oh man. And visually, super, super fun. It takes place in Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure they filmed it all in like France. Really great look to the movie, but go see it for the makeup work. Go see it for Demi Moore. You know, if you love horror, if you love gross out shit, if you love body horror, this is absolutely one of the standout films of the year. This is a must watch. This is a must watch.
It really does check all the boxes, and I am such a sucker for good special effects makeup, like good practical special effects makeup. If you're a fan of really out there movies like Tusk and The
Mhm.
Void and, shit like that, if you are into that kind of, body horror type special effects makeup, you are in for a treat with this movie. It checks every single one of the boxes.
If you hate needles,
Well,
maybe.
even it's really not that bad. I think the worst part is seeing the spine get stitched
The
back
sp-
up after the
oh,
person comes out. That's probably the worst part, and I'm okay with spoiling that. I feel like, if you don't like needles, you should probably be prepared for that. But
yeah. It's an out there movie, but I'm so excited that people have been out to see this one, and I absolutely don't think anyone listening to this should uh be left out. You have to go see The Substance. Anyways, yeah, Substance is a good fun time for me.
absolutely,
Anything more to say?
I had so much fun with it. I had my coworker come over and watch it with me for the first time. And we had so much fun watching it. Shout out Allie.
Shout out, Allie.
She was such a trooper watching this with me. We had so much fun. Every single thing that happened, we were like, "What?
Oh yeah, this is a
Excuse
terrific
me?"
like wine night movie. This is a like bring the friends.
Yeah. Well, and I had made her watch Titan, so
Oh, you put her through it.
I put her through it. So
This
I
girl's gonna
was
be
I
scared
didn't
of French ladies.
I didn't feel bad about making her watch this one with me, even though I didn't really know what to expect fully. Um, it was a great time. It was
Yeah.
so much.
Worth. What's your rating?
I put it at a solid 3.5.
3.5. All right. I'm
Maybe.
I'm 4 out of 5.
I was thinking 3.5 or 4. I wasn't, super sold on.
There. It's got some pacing things. It's got some weirdness, but it's so creative. It hasn't really left my mind since I saw it. And the more films I see, in the months since, it's still managed to stand out this year. So for me, 4 out of 5 for sure.
Yeah. I think it was definitely one of the better movies to come out of 2024. So I was very happy with it.
Shout out to me more.
Seriously.
Well, that is the tale of Margaret Qualley and Demi Moore maximizing their joint slay. But Bryn, you've finally seen a movie we've been wanting to discuss. It's the movie everyone's talking about. We've all seen it at the theaters, Golden Globes, all these things. It's Wicked. It's huge.
It
It's a big
is.
deal.
Rightfully so. And I just got to see it today. I've seen the stage show before long time ago, so it's not that I didn't know what to expect, but it was still entrancing to watch. It was just so whimsical. I loved it. I had a great time.
I am not familiar with Wicked. I knew some of the songs from my sisters, and I was generally aware of the story, but this was really my first real experience with it. And I like it. I like it. I think as a movie, I don't love it. I think if you don't like musicals, this is not the one that's going to change your mind. But I think that if you're a fan of Wicked, because I know several people that are fans of Wicked that love this movie, I think it's kind of a slam dunk for fans. And it's a fun time. It's a fun time.
I don't by any means think that it was perfect or outstanding, even, but it was a lot of fun. It was very whimsical. I thought the performances in it were really, really good.
Yeah.
Um, I had a little bit of issue with some of the computer graphic feel of it. Parts of it felt cheap.
You're hitting all my points. You're hitting all my points.
But then there were
Great.
also parts that were, like the physical sets that they made that felt very Broadway, felt very much like you were still watching the stage musical. The library scene, I loved that. That was, if the whole movie could have been crafted that way, I think it would have been infinitely better. Um, so, the physical sets that they did put effort and intention into were great. But then there
Yeah.
were scenes, in the woods that I was like, feels like a
Yeah.
cartoon. It's just not, it kind of made it feel cheap.
Yeah. Didn't have the oomph. Because
Hmm.
this is a film with a massive budget. No excuse for the. You know what? Okay. Let's start with the good. Let's start with the good. I absolutely agree with you. The performances, at least from the main two
Yeah.
actresses, fantastic. Cynthia Erivo has so much work to do in close-ups, and the way she's, acting with her eyes is
Hmm.
is so good. She's got so many great She smirks a little too much, she's always doing that damn smirk. But for the most part, she's got such a beautiful rendition of this character that has been done so many times before, and she finds a way to make it really hers, especially in her singing. Her voice is a weapon. Cynthia Erivo just. Well, I can't imagine someone else in this role now after seeing her. She does a fantastic job.
She really does. She knocks it out of the park. Her voice is beautiful. And one thing that I really appreciated about it is that you could tell that they were doing, live singing on set. Like you
Yeah.
can feel that performance out of all of the characters. And I genuinely appreciate that. I feel like it adds so much more feel to the movie. Same can be said for Ariana Grande. Talk about a comeback. Are you
It plays
kidding me?
it's like the perfect role for her. It plays directly into her strengths as an actress with like the bubbliness and the silliness and the sweetness, and then also just needing ridiculously intense vocal abilities. I mean, both of these actresses, I think, were fantastic casting choices, but I probably wouldn't have thought about Ariana Grande if you had asked me to cast this movie.
No. But
And
I can't think of anybody else doing it now.
yeah, she's fantastic.
And their chemistry together on screen is
And off screen.
and on screen.
We're
They're
holding
the cute.
space for them.
They are the cutest best friends though.
Yeah, I
I
like
do
that
love
they
seeing
make
them.
each other utterly insane. It reminds me of us. I
The
didn't know
original cutest best friends.
I didn't know that was happening. Yeah, actually, I've seen it on a couple posts. Yeah, that's the best internet video. Those that have seen it know what I'm talking about. But that I've watched it so many times. Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, their chemistry in this film, uh, the movie works because of them. They're so good on screen together. We just have to get into the problems with this movie.
Can I
It
give one more highlight
Yeah,
really
sorry,
quick?
go in, get it in there.
Jeff Goldblum.
He like barely shows up. He like
I
barely
know.
shows up.
I think I just have a soft spot for him.
We all
I
love,
don't
yeah.
care.
He's a
I don't
national
care what
treasure.
he's doing. I
He's
just
a
love
national
him.
treasure. Yeah.
His part is not even that good, but I forgot that he was in this, and so it was a pleasant surprise. I was like,
Yeah. A little bit of joy.
America's sweetheart.
I just
I loved it.
I kind of land on this movie feeling like it's a bit of a missed opportunity because it looks like shit from a butt. It looks so bad. They have such great sets, like you said, incredible costumes, but it's so dreary. It's so drab, And I want every single one of you who hasn't seen it to bring a notepad to the movie theater, and I want you to tally every time a scene is almost entirely lit with an ugly, overexposed backlight. There are so many scenes where people are singing and you can't see their faces. Like, okay, you really liked the library scene. I thought I was gonna hurl because of the twisting cameras, and it's a really impressive set that's spinning around.
I want to be clear that I liked the scene for the set.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Because it was a physical set and all of those were actual moving pieces. And
It is undeniably impressive. But this cinematographer should be put in jail.
give me one still shot in this movie. Give
Let
me
me
a
breathe.
singular still shot.
Let me breathe.
I am getting car sick.
Let's do 3-point lighting just once, you know? It doesn't all have to be backlight. You can light their faces,
Lighting.
you know? And then also there's I think I didn't love the shot in Defying Gravity where Cynthia Erivo, you know, she's singing, her dress is billowing. I want to see her face. I want to see her face, you know? And
Yes.
there's so much obscuring of these incredible actors.
Yeah.
And I've seen the director, the cinematographer say they were going for a naturalistic look, which, like, it's Oz. Like, it's Oz.
Natural to who?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. They should have asked me. I would have led them right. I just can't wrap my head around the visual style of this film. And the thing that makes me the angriest about it is the best scene in the movie is Popular. Let me say that right now. Popular is a great scene. And for part of that, they ratchet up the color and it's beautiful. Like
Yeah.
it swells with pink and Ariana Grande is just eating up the screen, which also I love that for once they're filming dance in long takes, in long shots so you can see Ariana Grande really dancing through the halls. It really adds to the sense of the
Yes.
performance for me.
Yeah.
Love that. Great scene. Beautiful color. And then it draws to an end and we cut right back to that ugly, desaturated, cheap-looking CGI color. It's like whiplash. It's just like, not like the movie Whiplash. It just gives me whiplash. It looks like a Marvel movie.
No, I think even Marvel movies are more vibrant than that.
It looks like Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It
Quantumania.
gives off millennial beige vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be way more colorful and exciting. It should look way better than this.
Yeah, I agree.
They're laundering the money. There's no other thing to say.
It is the same issue I had with the Hobbit movies when they came out. I was so furious with that because it had 3 times the budget of The Lord of the Rings and did fuck all with it. Where did that money go? Because it wasn't into the movie. You handed that job off to 8th graders in their computer arts class. And that's how I feel about this. I really just feel like this was a charity project for somebody in their basement.
It's just a strange movie, I think, not being super familiar with the material. It's fun watching the main 2 actresses, but I'm just really left wanting by the production as a whole. I didn't think the way the numbers were mounted, the dancing, I didn't think most of it was very interesting or very good. I don't think it served the music well. It breaks the songs up a lot, you know? It doesn't let a song play out. It really chops it up, it ruins the momentum, and the film drags. It's 3 hours long.
That makes me so mad because there's nothing I hate more than a movie that is broken into multiple parts that doesn't fucking need to be broken into multiple parts. Why did I get it to be continued? Get the fuck out of here and come back to me when it's complete. I don't want pieces and parts. I want the whole fucking thing. I don't care.
I'll watch a
3 hours.
3.5 hour movie. Yes, exactly. Just give me the whole thing.
Give me the whole thing. Stop teasing me with this. This is so fucking stupid.
It's greedy.
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit is 1 book. Why is it 3 fucking movies? Absolutely not.
And they all look terrible too.
And they're all bad.
I'm sensing a trend. It's the money laundering. They're laundering the money. They're laundering the money.
Stop milking it. We all know the story. We all know what is happening. Stop milking it. Give me one movie. I don't give a shit if it's 4 hours.
That being said, Wicked, still pretty good.
It was very whimsical and very fun, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, not a bad time. I'd watch it again.
I would rewatch it. I just
What a missed opportunity. That's the thing, is it just looks so bad.
let us in there for the second one. We will redeem it.
Please. Oh, God. Just light it differently. Yeah. Have you seen Crazy Rich Asians?
Yes,
It's the same director, and that's another movie that is just like
that makes sense. That
it
checks out.
looks like a back to school commercial kind of. Like it's just flat. It's just very commercial. I don't know how to explain it. I just
Millennial beige.
yeah, where's the whimsy? Where's the color? Like The Wizard of Oz, I think it goes without saying it's a much more colorful film, a much more
Yeah.
beautiful film. Like
And I don't, is that just because that was their first shot at using color in a movie? So they did
mm,
everything they could, and now we've just taken it for granted and we're okay with half-assing what could be a beautiful landscape? The Emerald City
oh yeah,
was
with the ugly
dull.
field around it. Ugh, yeah, terrible.
That was the
I
dullest emerald I've ever seen in my life.
I just really have to get in there and talk with like the director, the color grading artists, and the
Just want
cinematographer
to
about
talk.
what went wrong here. Why are you lighting every scene with like a billion suns outside the window?
For what? And it
Like
just makes everything
it's like a
sad.
shadow puppet show. It's like a shadow puppet show. It's
And
terrible.
it just mutes every other color in the room. You don't get a chance to appreciate any other color because all you're getting is like Caucasian lighting through the window.
Yeah. Uh,
Why do you hate us?
yeah, it's kind of lit like your webcam right now.
Yeah,
It's a
for
little
real.
overexposed,
Did
blown
they take
out.
my webcam for this? Is that what happened?
They might have, Bryn. It's just, it's a really interesting movie, because,
At least I can capture green on this.
yeah, hey. It's just a really oh, because Wicked, I get it, Green. It's just,
I was just talking
I
about the
think,
Emerald City.
I think if you like Wicked, you'll like the movie. You like the songs, you already like it, you'll enjoy it. I think if you're a casual moviegoer, there's probably a good chance you'll enjoy it for the performances, but there's just something really wanting about the product for me. It's passable.
I think if you can detach yourself from the movie side of things and go for the musical that people love so much, you'll be just fine. I think if you put any critical thinking into what you are watching,
You're gonna
you're gonna have a
struggle
bad
with
time.
it. But shout out Ariana Grande. She could win the Oscar. I think she'll get nominated. I think she's so good as Glinda.
I loved her as Glinda. Her part had me laughing the whole time. I was having a whole riot with her.
Yeah, she
She's
hits every
great.
note. She hits every note. Like not in every song, but
Literally.
every note of the every note of the performance. I thought she totally nailed. Her comedic timing is fantastic. She provides an incredible scene partner for Cynthia Erivo, who has a lot to do to shoulder this film. I just left the movie thinking about Ariana Grande and not much else.
Me too.
Anything else to say about Wicked? I guess.
I didn't realize I was so angry about it, but I'm glad that we talked about it
Yeah,
because I'm I'm a little mad. I'm a
it's
little upset. I'm
like
perturbed.
like a 3 out of 5 stars for me.
That's generous.
I really enjoyed the lead performances.
Yeah.
That's about it though. But I really thought that Ariana Grande was worth it.
Yeah. No, she
And
was
shout out to the title font. Love the title font. Great
Yeah,
title
that
card.
that felt very reminiscent of The Wizard of Oz. I loved that. I was like,
One
"Oh,
of the
you know
high
what?
points of the movie. The first frame.
No, you're 100% on it." Like it opened up and I was like, "Oh, maybe this will be good."
Yeah, and then it just looks like Marvel Endgame the whole time. It goes to show what we know though, because it's one of the most successful films of the year.
I
People
think
love
that
it.
I think that most of that was out of anticipation though.
Yeah, it's a well-known idea.
It is one of the most loved musicals of all time, and rightfully so. It's great, but I think that people were so caught up in that. that's probably what fueled a lot of the box office numbers.
Now I gotta take a look at the budget of this and the Substance, because I think the Substance is just a much better looking movie, and I feel like it
Okay,
has so
talk
much less
about
to work with.
color. Talk
Yeah.
about color in that movie. The bright orange hallway was one of my favorite choices.
The stark coldness of her bathroom, which is just a really fascinating dystopian room.
That's how you use an absence of color.
Mm.
That's how you use bright lighting. That was wonderfully done.
Yeah, we should talk a little bit more about the substance, because some of the camera work is so creative. Some of the POV when you're in Margaret Qualley's body, like looking around, when you're in,
You get very
the
much like a
finale.
fisheye lens. It's
A lot of bold choices.
yes. And I really appreciated that. Because it worked. It absolutely worked.
I think like you don't get too much of Margaret Qualley and Demi Moore together. I think I really love the dynamic in Wicked, and the way they play off each other. Like, that is genuinely so fun to watch. This is a weird episode because I genuinely don't know what movie the general person would like more. If you've seen both movies, please let us know which one you like more. Anyways, the information. Wicked was made for $145 million. And The Substance was made for $17.5 million, that's a huge achievement. So shout out to Coralie Farjah, the director of The Substance. What a fantastic achievement. We didn't even talk about the chicken drumstick. There's a chicken drumstick in The Substance you have to see.
I forgot about the chicken drumstick.
I didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen, Bryn. I was literally like open mouthed, like I was rapt attention. I was in it.
There were a couple times where Allie and I were sitting there just like agape. And I was like,
Yeah.
what am I looking at?
I don't want to say too much about the movie because it's so
I
worth
don't
discovering,
either.
but I'm glad that you touched on her breaking her leg in one scene and then sprinting in the next, because that made me cackle. Like, I don't know. It's just such a joy, such a fun, crazy, unserious movie. It's so silly.
And without spoiling this part, this is going to be very vague, but the scene where the audience is getting sprayed with blood and the little kid just gets
Oh, I was
splattered.
howling. The whole theater I was in was dying.
In. Oh my god, that
My-
was so funny.
That might be the funniest movie I've seen all year.
That
It
might
really
be the
is.
best scene of the year.
You might be right. We'll have to talk about that. We'll have more to talk about when the Oscar nominations come out here, I think at the end of the month, and then we can talk about some of our picks. The Substance does not feel like an Oscars movie, but I feel like it has a shot at getting into some spots.
I hope so.
I think
hope so. At least nominated for some good stuff.
Demi Moore deserves to get in. Margaret Qualley, makeup and hairstyling, minimum. That's it. Minimum. I need those to happen. But it should get nominated for Best Picture. It should get nominated for Screenplay and Director. It's one of the...
Screenplay was good. I enjoyed the screenplay on it.
It's a weird movie. It's incredibly original, and I think it deserves to be recognized for that at least.
And I think that's where it stands out too, is because I know that audiences as a whole are largely sick of remakes.
Yes.
And I say that with a lot of room for grace, seeing as two of the movies that we've talked about in the last two episodes are remakes. I think that a lot of people they're burnt out on remakes. Stop remaking stuff. Give me something new. And The Substance is brand new. You've never seen The Substance before.
Yeah, it's just a really simple, fun satire that they really take all the way. Such a thrill, and it's a interesting contrast to Wicked, where they have sort of a proven product that they can't rise to the occasion with, in my opinion.
Yeah. We were talking about Anora in the last episode, how it broke away from like the stereotypical progression of a cinematic storyline, but Wicked follows every single one of those steps.
Yeah, very paint by numbers.
Yes.
And it still manages to be as long as the play. but it's only part one. What could possibly happen, as someone that has never seen the play, what could possibly frickin' happen in the second half of Wicked?
Well, if they didn't put 3 scenes in the middle of each song,
We could have saved some time.
we could have saved some
Let
time.
Cynthia sing. Let her sing.
Well, and it left me feeling like, oh my, well, they cut out like good parts of the song, and then all of a sudden it was,
Oh,
is the
it's
song
not done.
over now? Is it over now? And then it was just never over. And then they would call back to songs in the middle of other songs, and not in the typical,
Like
ensemble
leitmotif.
way. It was just like hard cut in between, and I was like, which number are we in? Like, what do you mean?
Oof. This is another thing. I don't know if this is like baked into the music or if this is the movie, but something I hate in musicals, and this is a big Broadway musical thing, is like they'll sing a line and then the last word they'll say, but they'll say it like really earnestly and really breathy, and I can't stand it. And Wicked is full of it.
It's all that.
Full of it. No
And-
wizard that there is or was. It's like, oh my god. Just sing the line. It's not more dramatic. It pisses me off.
The only time it's justified in that entire movie is during Defying Gravity. That is the only time where I'm okay with like emotional expression in, how it's delivered. The rest of the time, just sing it.
They do that shit every song.
Just sing it.
As a former theater kid, stop it. Cut it out.
Putting our foot down.
Cut it out.
Not approved by theater kids everywhere.
Not approved. We're done. We're leaving it in 2024. It's 2025 now. Yeah.
Either sing it or say it.
Thank you. Finally, someone speaking some sense. What would this nation do without us?
I know what film is doing without us, and it's not good.
It's struggling. This really was not the best year for movies. 2024 was a little weak.
No, and it's sad because at the beginning of the year, I was so excited. Seeing the lineup, seeing the potential that we had for this year, I was like, oh my god, we're going to have a good year for movies. I'm so excited. And after last year, I was like, we're going to keep the trend going. I'm so excited.
Did not work out. I mean, I was so excited for Anora, and that didn't quite live up to expectations.
It was so good.
Still good, but like that's just kind of been the thing this year, is things just nothing really calling out to me like things have in past years. No Anatomy of a Falls, no Tars, no Licorice Pizzas. Just a shame, So let's hope for next year, but this year, in film and not in film, was just not it.
Not it. And I don't have high hopes for the general vibe of 2025. However, if film does not step it up and compensate for the rest of the year, all of the other bullshit that we're about to have to deal with, I'm going to break into Hollywood myself. I am usurping. I am taking over film.
Steering it back on course.
I'm not putting up with it anymore.
Yeah, something has to change. Something has to change. And it starts with all of us. We have to go see better movies. We need to stop going and seeing dumb movies.
Stop tolerating the trash. Stop tolerating the sequels. Stop tolerating the remakes. We're done. Give us originality and quality.
We just talked about Nosferatu, which is really funny, because that one was actually pretty good, but things are in a bad way right now.
Right. Nosferatu is the exception. It's sad that was the best, for me, the best movie of 2024.
Yeah, I was thinking
and that was a remake.
I've been thinking about, are we going to do a best of 2024, like a top 10? I'm not like super into my top 10 this year. I mean, I feel like I shat on Wicked a little too much, but like it's still in my top 10 of the year, which...
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it was still good. Like, it was still whimsical and fun. There's just a lot about it that could have been fucking better.
In a much better year for film, it wouldn't sniff the top 10.
It wouldn't.
Very interesting. There's a couple interesting movies that came out this year that maybe we'll talk about. Like, maybe we'll do like an Oscar predictions 2024
Give me some of your
recap.
other top 10.
Right now? Or should we save it? Right now? Ooh, okay.
Just a quick rundown.
Let me preface, I think, my favorite 2 movies of the year. They might be from last year, depending on how you slice it. They premiered in America in 2024, but they premiered at film festivals in 2023, respectively. So that you know, if you don't count them, you don't count them. But loved The Beast by Bertrand Bonello. I think that's probably going to end up on my best of the decade list, as well as La Chimera, or La Chimera, by Alice Rohrwacher, I think her name is, an Italian director. Two just utterly stunning films that nothing else has really touched for me. The only things that I felt confident giving a full 5 stars. The Beast is about a future where people can kind of go through their past lives and deal away with past traumas, which makes them different in the present. And I don't want to go into it too much because it's just a really fascinating and interesting sci-fi film that I think just says so much about right now and who we are, and I think is just an unbelievable piece of work that people should seek out. The Beast, starring Léa Seydoux. And then La Chimera is about a former paleontologist who now leads like a ragtag group of grave robbers in rural Italy. And he's got this almost like supernatural ability to feel when they're near like old stuff, but there's just so much more to the film than that, and it's just indescribably beautiful, and there's a sense of magical realism to it. I couldn't get enough of. That's streaming on Hulu. The Beast is streaming on the Criterion channel. After those two, I have Anora, and then I have Dune Part 2, and then I have The Substance, and that would be my top 5 of the year. So The Beast, La Chimera, Anora, Dune Part 2, and The Substance. What about you? You got a top 5 for this year?
I don't know that I haven't assembled a top 5, so maybe I'll have that for the next episode, but
It's tough because there's some movies left to see. You know, shout
yes.
out The Brutalist, which I anticipate being fantastic. Shout out Hard Truths, which I anticipate being fantastic. But haven't been able to see them, and now it's January, so... Dune Part 2 was frickin' awesome. Shout out Dune Part 2. Shout out Austin Butler.
As we're talking about how we're sick of sequels and
Whoa,
part
whoa,
twos
whoa.
and
Dune 2, Innocence.
remake.
Dune 2 does not count. Dune 2, Innocent.
We're like, stop with the remakes, stop with the sequels and the part 2s, but also Nosferatu and Dune Part 2 were fucking
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, listen. When 75% of the shit available to see is a sequel, sometimes that's gonna be one of the best things you see. It's unavoidable. I won't be going and seeing Mufasa. You won't get me to see that. That's out. But Dune Part 2, just fantastic. Fully delivered on the promise of Dune 1, which I didn't think was very good but had potential. Dune Part 2 rules.
Did they just fix all the bugs from Part 1 in Part 2?
There's just nothing in Part 1, really. Like, something about Part 1 is just very dry.
Lackluster.
You're just kind of getting into the world, but at the same time, it's like 2.5 hours.
That's a long time to get into the world.
It's a bit of a slog, but the second one is just an absolute blast. You'll watch them, and we'll do an episode.
Dune episode.
Mm-hmm. Did you see Elvis? We ought to do a full Elvis. Oh, we already talked about it.
A little.
We could do a full Elvis episode.
I was gonna say, I don't think we went full in
because
depth on Elvis.
I think we talked a little bit about Tom Hanks in the comedic performances episode. Oh, okay. Well, now I'm thinking, do we want to do like an Austin Butler episode or another like creepy bald guys episode?
Let's do creepy bald guys episode because I'm sure I can dig up a couple.
Guys.
Yeah, I'm sure I can dig up a couple more creepy bald guy performances that are worth talking about.
Hellraiser.
Oh,
so many good creepy bald guys. The Hills Have Eyes.
What do you know about Hellraiser? Look at this guy.
Oh.
He glows in the dark.
He looks radioactive on the webcam, so.
He's great. He's one of my favorite little pop guys. I love him.
See, I don't have any pops. I have a crocheted Baby Yoda.
I do have Alfred Hitchcock and Norman as Mama Bates.
Oh, that's actually sweet. Oh, I love that Hitchcock.
I've got some good. I also have the one I just threw was a Jack Torrance with the axe, which is pretty great. I have Gandalf and Balrog right here. I have James Bond over there. I have What About Bob?
Bob?
Have you never seen What About Bob?
What's What About Bob? No. Well, okay, let me Google.
Oh, you have to see What About Bob.
I never even heard of this.
Really?
This is insane. How often do I not hear
That
about things?
so surprises me.
Richard
I
Dreyfuss, Bill... Jesus. Directed by Frank Oz. How have I never heard about this? This is
don't know.
crazy.
Please go watch What About Bob and tell me what you think of it.
The lady that edited that movie edited Lawrence of Arabia. What a pedigree. What a pedigree. The Duality of Woman. Shout out Ann V. Coates. Is that the first time Ann V. Coates has received a shout out on a podcast? I hope so. Shout out.
Anyway, that's the tangent that we have ended up on.
I mean, anything else to say about Wicked or The Substance, Maximizing of the Joint Sleigh, or the films of 2024? We might have another 24 episode before Oscar stuff. Who knows?
Probably. Without compromising too much more of the substance and without beating a dead horse on Wicked, I think I've said all I can say.
Fair enough.
Still, highly recommend seeing both if you haven't already. Most people at this point have gone and seen Wicked if they're going to, but if you haven't, I would make time. It's streamable now, but it costs less to just go to the theater, if we're being honest.
It's worth checking out. Worth checking out. Yeah. Well, with that being said, everyone, thanks for joining us for another classic Picture Show podcast. Go watch a movie that challenges you, something you've never seen before, and tell your friends about it.
Step outside your comfort zone, and until then, we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Socials on the screen, baby. Bye.